Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Ita. Such a pleasure, such a wonderful opportunity to be here once again. We're going to be having a great time. I usually say this, but I actually mean it, and it always comes to pass. We're going to have a great time today on the show, and it's going to be a wonderful time. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, this is us streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, and to the entire world. We have a statement on the Good Morning Education Show. We always say it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. We're so excited that we're starting a new week. Today is Monday, the 21st day of June, 2021. When the January starts, it's just almost like, oh, you know what? Guess what? Half of the year is almost ending. In the next few days, we'll be beginning a new month, and I'm sure that you're looking forward to the next half of the year. It's just our desire and prayer that the next half of the year will be a wonderful time for you, yourself, your pursuits, your family, everything that you touch and everything you lay your hands on. That's the prayer from us all from the Good Morning Education Show. And without wasting much time, we're going to start the show in earnest. I believe that you're eager to wonder and to know what we're going to be talking about today. And we just have two powerful words. Our topic today is Immerse Me. But before you get more information about that, I'm going to give you opportunity to hear for some of our analysts and experts who are already joining us in the studios. And they're going to share their thoughts, they're going to share their experiences. But first and foremost, they'll say hello to you. And after the hello, we're going to go straight into what I call the news headlines. Within and around the world of education, there's so many headlines, and we're going to treat and touch some of those headlines. From the headlines, we're going to now move further, and then we'll go further into the topic of the day. And we have an exciting news for you. It's always on the Good Morning Education Show. You see fantastic stuff that actually affects you, that affects us, that affects everyone. So we'll bring the opportunity for leverage. We have what we call the grant for the day. And on the grant for the day, you will have an opportunity, to see what's happening out there and where you could actually pitch your tent and find some level of support or push by applying for some of these grants. And then I have an announcement to make. I should have made that announcement last week, but it's better late than never, like they used to say. We're going to be having an announcement as well with regards to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Good Morning Education Show. I'm going to bring up one of our analysts now, and we're going to say good morning to her, Dr. Omotola the Great. Good morning to you from Africa. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's always a wonderful time here, or great time here, as we like to say. And yes, a new week and full of many of opportunities and possibilities.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then, of course, we're bringing up Finn, and we are also calling Finn Dr. Finn. Let's put a smile on our face this morning. Dr. Finn, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Prophet Tayo, and good morning, Dr. Motola. And happy Father's Day to
Good
all the
morning.
amazing men out there doing great things as fathers, as grandfathers, and as father figures in the lives of all the young people in their lives. We appreciate you. We don't say it enough, but we appreciate you and we acknowledge the great and awesome work that you do. Thank you for being fathers to us.
All of a sudden, Finn is being a nice person.
I am a nice person.
Good. All right. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, I
can.
can hear you.
It's breaking
Okay.
and lagging, but we can.
So we have Olatunde Adebayo saying, excellent morning or excellent Monday morning to you all executive educators. He has his own way of greeting us because of executive. Executive. So we are now executive doctors because there's doctor to your name. So I'm the executive prof. We will be having someone, I believe, that will be joining us on the show today. But then before that time, I would like us just to go straight to the conversation. Okay, so we are having the first headline. Adamu approves takeoff of another federal poly. This is coming from the Nation newspaper. I'd like to hear from Fee, and then I move to Dr. Omotola. All right, over to you, Fee.
As much as I commend the fact that there's a new polytechnic being that is prepared to take off or that is in the works to take off, I would also like to say that we should not compound the problem. The current ones we have are still, they still have all the issues that we've been talking about for ages: funding, teacher salaries, equipping them, and all of those are there. This, I hope, is not just a political move to maybe appease some part of the country, or somebody is trying to just pull their weight, like say, no, let's situate this institution in this part of the country, or let's just hope that I'm hoping that it's going to really, really be worth it, so that we're not starting a new institution. Students come in and they believe finally this is an institution to strike up. People that have joined into an institution finally get in, and then the same evils that have been bedeviling the previous institutions now come around on this too. That's my thought on it.
Yes, I agree with you, Finn, that absolutely that yes, it's commendable. And based on the news, they're starting September 2022, so they still have a year. But like you said, I'm hoping that it's not just an addition, that at the end of the day it's not about quality but quantity. So as much as we need the quantity, we need the quality as well. And so I'm hoping that they are really going to work on the current ones and make it better while they're building new ones as well.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think that we can move to the other headline. We are having another headline which talks about ASU. ASU threatens to embark on fresh strike, discloses reasons for action.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that this headline comes right after the one about the approval for a new polytechnic. This is exactly what we're talking about. Like, if we're going to continue to have more institutions, please, the institutions need to make sure that they are well run, that they are well funded. I mean, this is as it looks like ASU is more out of work than they are actually in school. All of the time we have threats of strike, or they actually are on strike, and the students are at home. They're the ones missing out, because you find out that when the strikes happen, the lecturers can still benefit, still teach in other schools, still take part-time jobs in other places, and for them, life doesn't stop. Life doesn't pause. They continue to make things out of their own lives. It's the students that hold the short end of the stick, and at this point, I think I'm fed up with ASU. I'm fed up with the federal government or whoever is in charge of this ASU liaison. And really, this just needs to stop. We need to stop having headlines like this. This is 2021, for crying out loud. Everything doesn't have to be. It's not rocket science. They can, if it's a tussle, if it's a power tussle between, it's an existing power tussle between the government, past government and present government, and the leadership of ASU. If it's a union thing, whatever it is, whoever feels like their ego is being threatened, or whoever feels like they need to show their power and show that yes, we are the ones whatever we say goes. They need to put into consideration the future of the young people that these strike actions affect.
All right. Let's not dwell too much on ASU. Let's move to another headline. Um, this is a bit more enlightening and interesting. We have how Prince Eberno Supermarket is changing the face of Nigeria's education system. I'm sure, of course, I don't know if Dr. Motola knows about Prince Eberno, but that's like our own Walmart, our own Sainsbury or something like that. Hello, can you hear me? Fee, do you want to say
Yes.
something about that?
Okay, I thought you wanted Motola to go first on this.
Okay, let's have Dr. Motola first then.
Yes, I didn't know about him, but now I'm knowing about him, and I guess it's a good thing that they are really like invested in helping students to learn, and they are providing opportunity for students and like equipping classroom for physics, chemistry, biology lab, and even a solar power ICT and a skill acquisition center. So I think that is really incredible, and I'm really, really proud of their initiative and what they're trying to accomplish. And I hope that their effort will not be frustrated. And then one last thing before we move on. I know it's on ASU strike, but I just wanted to say something that also like what Finn was saying, that apparently the issue is between the account general of of the federation, and they've not paid the salary of like over 1,000 staff for between 4 to 13 months, and I think that is just really unreasonable and not right. And so yeah, I think they need to like, whoever is messing up, they should fix it. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. So let's just move on. We have a lot to talk about. Let's move on to the UTME 2021 UTME. And that's jammed the list 25 CBT centers over poor performance. Okay, 2 seconds on that.
I would say that this year's UTME, the examination this year seems to be a lot of issues. The JAMB needs to get its house to put it in order. Really need to put it in order.
Yeah, and the parents are also saying that they are disappointed with JAM. That's parents as well. Because this is a service. This is a service that they are paying for, regardless of the fact that JAM is centralized. We need to recognize that people have made payments, and when people make payments, they have a right to demand for quality service. So I think that what JAM needs to do is to listen to all these complaints and then pick those areas that needs urgent attention, that they need to kind of do something to repair or resolve the issues, because the truth of the matter is it's not just complaints, uh, but then there are consequences. So if, for example, a child is disqualified or a child is penalized or something happens to a child's score, there will be complaint, but the truth is it has implications and consequences. The child might not have access to be able to get into the university in the next session. So these are things that we need to look at. And this time around, I would like to hear Dr. Motola's thought on this news. Rivers College of Health shut down college, orders students to go home. Dr. Motola, what do you have to say about that?
So just reading off from the headline, I wonder the reasoning for it. So is it because of like what is the reason behind it? Because I'm trying to get to the news page. So I'm like, if it's for a good cause, maybe it's for the protection of the student or because of their safety, then maybe good. But if it's for not a reasonable state, then I think it's not right. Also, I see they said the students were protesting over lack of basic amenities in the college. And so, and then they said also that apparently a lecturer allegedly raped female students. And so the family also raised the alarm as well. And so, in order for them not to go into taking matter into their own hand, the provost like decided to shut down the school to avoid the breakdown of law and order. But I don't think that's the right way to go about it. They should be able to manage it. That would be my opinion. That I don't think just because of these issues they cannot manage it. They're basically running away from their responsibility. Why are they at higher education institute or something similar to that if they cannot undo this? And so I'm not impressed with them shutting it down. Shutting down for how long? For 1 week, for 2 weeks? Like it does, like they have to do better. The response should not just be to shut down things when there is like something, a clash between students and the management, or if there's an issue that they need to address or they're not taking seriously. So for me, I'm not impressed with them shutting it down. There has to be something beyond just shutting it down.
Okay. Uh, thank you for that. Does me want to say anything on that as well?
Well, I think this is the college gagging the students and taking away their voice, saying that you do not have a right to protest. If they're protesting the lack of basic amenities, which is what I was just talking about with the new institution that was to start off, if that is what the students uh, are protesting, and they're protesting, they're not having a right to quality education and all of that. And the institution is saying, oh, we've asked them to go back to the classroom. We've made promises that these things will be looked into. There are so many promises that we have had in this country, and already promises don't mean anything to us anymore. If things are not being put in place and the students are saying that, oh, these things are put in, they're reasonable, for crying out loud. This affects them. So I'm sure the students don't want to be at home, but if they have to go back to the classroom and nothing is changing, the institution is not doing anything differently, their voices are not given a chance to be heard, and the moment they say, oh, we are not taking this, we are speaking up against it, then they get shut down. What exactly are we teaching the young people? These are people who are going to be leaders in this nation very, very soon. They are the leaders that we are going to be voting in very soon. So are we saying to them that the moment you get into power and there is an opposing voice, you shut them down, you just exert your power on them? I mean, institutions and leadership needs to consider these things before they take decisions, because you're putting something into the future of these young people.
Well, it's unfortunate, but I think that everybody's taking a cue from what's happening on the larger society. So it seems like, well, we 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 are rank xeroxing from the federal level to the school level. All right, 5G NCC announces national essay competition for students. Dr. Watala, let's hear from you on this.
Well, this one I'm not even impressed. I'm like, of all the topic in the world for them to do, why should it be about the role of 5G in technology and development? For me, I'm like, there's far weightier matters that has life and death implications, and they're not even trying to find another ways to even bring the thought and leadership and the brain of students together, because this is for like undergraduate students in both private and public institutions, right? And so I'm just like, and then also there has to be a purpose beyond just choosing a winner, first runner up, second runner, or third runner, whatever. They have to, like, how are they going to apply the ideas and the insights that comes as a result of this competition? Or is it just for the sake of, oh, we gave them a laptop, a printer, and a cash prize of 500,000 naira to the first prize winner, and the cash of 300,000 naira to the second one? And 200,000 to the third. It's like, what is going to be the outcome? So if they have best ideas and everything, how are they going to implement it to make the sector better? And then I'm like, yeah, so I'm just like, I'm not really impressed.
Ugochi, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good
Okay.
morning, Mr. Timmy. Good morning,
You're sounding like you're in
Jean.
Rwanda.
And good morning, Dr. Motala.
Good morning, Ogochi.
Good
Welcome.
morning, Ugochi.
Ugochi, you're sounding like you're in Rwanda.
I laugh in Rwanda language.
All right. So let's just move to another headline. Seems this headline is just causing more controversy. 5G, 5G.
I said I laugh in Rwanda.
Okay.
This is why we need 5G in this country. Yeah, Ugochi won't be lagging like this if there was better connectivity.
True. The question is, when is it going to be a realization? 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I don't even know. I don't think we should leave innovation to the government. No, I think it should be privatized.
Why are we even debating 5G in 2020 when as far
Please,
back as
oh, I
2019,
beg, oh.
Norway was already operating 7G, 8G, and here we are still on 4G. We don't even have the 5G. Anyway, let's leave this.
All right, the final
As
headline
well as
is dad
Can you
converted
hear
his
me?
garage to
oh wow.
classroom to teach us math and others. Ayo Aderele, Covenant University first class graduate. What do we have to say about that?
This is a good one to celebrate fathers, to celebrate Father's Day, to celebrate the impact the fathers have on their children. I mean, honestly, we do not talk enough about the impact of fathers and the role that they play in the lives of their children. But this is Adediwura Ayo Aderele talking about the role that her father played in helping in the way she's turned out academically. And I can say for one too that I didn't exactly like mathematics because of the way it was introduced to me. But my dad took up teaching me maths, and even though I didn't want to do anything called mathematics, but I knew that it wasn't because I couldn't do it. It was just because I didn't really have interest in that. So for her dad to have converted his garage to teach her and her siblings and a few other kids in the neighborhood. It's now it's paying off. I'm sure Mr. Ayo Aderele is happy. He's proud. His investment in his children, and now especially with Adediwura, who is in the spotlight. He's glad about his investment, and more parents need to take a cue from this instead of abandoning the children to the school and feeling, oh, they are the responsibility of the teachers. It needs to be a partnership. It has to be a partnership between the school and the parents to ensure that the children have the best and that we are really producing top quality and high quality students. So congratulations to Adediwura, congratulations to her father, and congratulations to CU Covenant University also.
All right. Ugochi, do you want to say something about this?
Yeah, I think Fini has said it all because this is actually very commendable. It just shows how fathers, they deserve more than one day in the year. A lot of fathers actually do go the extra mile, making sure that they may not be lovey-dovey because I know that, the African method of upbringing did not really allow a lot of our
Are you
fathers to be
African?
lovey-dovey. But but a lot of our African fathers showed their love by in the form of provision, in the form of sacrifice, in the form of teaching. I still remember that it was my dad that taught me long division. I will never forget. I remember us doing it after class. So this is really commendable, and more fathers should get involved. I don't like the fact that whenever we talk about upbringing of children, the mothers keep showing up more, and that's why it almost seemed like someone wrote a post the other day on Instagram that there were no packages from all these restaurants for Father's Day. It was almost as if everybody has plans, lots of plans for Mother's Day, but very few for Father's Day, and that's because many times it seems like it's one-sided. So it's really great to see fathers stepping in, and we hope that more fathers determined to be more involved in the life of their children.
Fantastic. Dr. Motala, any words?
Yes, I'll say same thing. I echo the same sentiment from Ogochi and Finn. My dad actually is a mathematician, so I was just smiling when I read the news. Like ever since I was little, like from primary school to like secondary school, every teacher I met apparently went through my dad, either through polytechnic or through university that he taught them. So they expected me to be a mathematician myself. I'm like, no, that is my father's area, not me. Because you say, oh, yeah, Father, come and solve this on the board. I'm like, hey, Joe, you've not taught us. Just because when the father taught you, does not mean you have to put it on me. But anyways, yes, fathers are wonderful and great, and I'm so thankful that this kind of news is there and people, it's being celebrated. And like Ugochi and Finya said, it's so critical that for parents to take advantage of not just passing the buck of the role and responsibility of education to the students, to the teachers, to the governor, to the government, and to the school, but they have a role to play. We all have a role to play as parents to also educate our children and support them in whatever way we can. So this is really wonderful that this happened and now see the fruit of the labor. So I celebrate the family, the school, and the student and the father as well.
Fantastic. All right. And that is a wrap on the conversation. And we are going to be going to the major topic of the day. Before that, I think we might also take the grant of the day so that we just go straight to our main conversation.
Sure. So the grant, yeah. So the grant of the day is from the Ella Lehman Cabot Trust, and so the letter of inquiry deadline is September 1. So you have enough time to come up with something great. And it's actually it's basically 2 to 3 words, because actually I applied to this like some years ago and I got it. So it's definitely something that you should pursue and you should look into. Also, and then by October you find out whether or not you're moving on to the full application, and then you have to submit it by November, and then by December you get the final decision whether or not they're going to fund the grant. But the truth is, even if you cannot apply for the September letter of inquiry one, there will be one in November, and then February you find out whether you get it or not. So that's something I love about this. Like almost every quarter you have the opportunity to apply and reapply again. And then you can get up to $15,000 for the first time when you apply. And then the second year, if you choose to apply again, if you were funded the first time, you get up to $25,000. And then the field of work that can apply, you can apply this grant to education, human and social services, art and culture, writing and literature, science, health, medicine, and anything around religion and spirituality. And then for who can apply, so you can apply as an individual. You don't have to be a for-profit or non-profit for you to apply. You can just apply as you who care about making a difference and doing something great in the world. And then you can use the fund for a project or a program, and your location can be anywhere in the world. So even if you're listening from us from outside of Nigeria, this is for you as well. And if you're in Nigeria, this is for you as well. So I would encourage you to check out the website and definitely explore applying if one of your project or programs matches the funding opportunities for this as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the website is there on the screen, and of course, you can take advantage of that. The grant for the day, Ella Lehman Cabot Trust. Next deadline is September 1st, 2021. Thank you, Dr. Motola. As we move to the conversation of the day, we have a topic here, and it's called Immerse Me. Immerse Me. There are different things that come into the word immerse. But then, of course, we will be looking at it from the world of mentoring, and not just mentoring as regards teacher mentoring, but we also need to go a step further to talking about full immersion. And I really want to start by asking Dr. Motola. So when you talk about teacher immersion, or you hear the word immerse or immerse me, what really comes to your mind, Dr. Motor?
For me, I'll say it goes beyond just like waiting for the institute or whether it's private or public that you work for to initiate that for you, whether it's mentoring or training or outside workshop for you to improve and be better with your skill set or do better and learn more. So it's like a personal responsibility, something that the teacher or the individuals want to do in order to be the best and show up the best way for their students. And so I think when I think of immerse me and like immersing in teachers education, I think it should come from within. It should not just always come from, oh, because the school is not providing it, I'm not going to do anything to even explore possibility of getting mentorship or getting the knowledge I need to further my skill and show up as the best possible teacher possible for my students. So I think it has to come internally and it has to be like intrinsically motivated by the teachers and not just until the what do you call it, the institution say, okay, we have this thing, that's when we should do it.
Okay, so let's hear from Finn. Finn.
When I hear immerse, the word is just, for me, it's dunking. You're dunking something or somebody, plunging them deeply, fully submerged. And when I think about teacher immersion, I think about fully submerging teachers into the practice of education, fully dunking them into what it takes to be a teacher, what it means to be a teacher, in all areas and in all aspects of education. So that's, and then when immersion is not something that you really can do on your own, except maybe in a situation where you jump into a pool and then you go down and come up again for air, in some cases like that. But usually immersion has to do with somebody else pushing you, helping you to take, to dunk, to fully submerge something into an environment. And so for me, teacher mentoring is taking that teacher and leaving nothing above water, leaving nothing untouched. Every possible scenario, every possibility of experiences that they are likely to come across in the classroom, outside of the classroom, with their colleagues, with parents, with vendors, with everything that has to do with their practice as a teacher. Fully immersing them in it and helping them to gain mastery of it.
Thank you very much. I'm going to now ask a different question, and I'm going to take that question to go to
Is it me or did we just lose Mr. Rotimi?
No, it's
Yeah,
not you.
his network.
The 4G is on strike. Okay, he's
yeah,
back.
yeah. Let me take a jab. So I said, what's the
Yeah.
importance of
My 4G
ongoing
is not showing too bad.
mentorship or mentoring to educators? What's
Can
the
you repeat the
importance of
question?
ongoing
Okay, Mr.
mentoring
Rotimi,
for
I missed
educators?
it.
Okay, well, there's a lot
What's
of
the
overlay.
importance of ongoing mentorship for educators?
What's the
Okay, so
importance
beginning from the,
of
yes, beginning okay, so beginning from the word immersing them, immersion, it's about soaking them, soaking them. And so what is the importance of soaking teachers? It leads to opportunities for learning, leads to opportunities for growth. So the teachers learn, they build capacity. And that's really critical in this sector. You can't think that what you have is enough for where you are going. So that continuous capacity building is very important. So immersion is great because it helps the teachers build capacity. It helps them to grow. It helps them to learn things that they might not learn if they were not immersed. Because sometimes people say some things are taught and some things are caught, right? So if they are not immersed in learning opportunities, in growth opportunities, there might be some things that they might miss and may just think, oh, being an educator is just come and teach the students and go. But being immersed in the process would let them see that you are not just coming to teach and go. There is a whole lot, there is just a whole value chain, in that process. So yeah, that's the importance. And again, it shortens the learning curve, because if they were to go by themselves without structured immersion or without any immersion of any kind, something that could have taken them shorter would have taken longer, because nobody guided them. There was no proof of work. There was no prototype to observe. But when teachers go through immersion, it shortens their learning curve. So it reduces the time they would spend, because they are leveraging on the knowledge and experience of those who have gone ahead of them. So it's mentorship, immersion is very important because it builds capacity, it helps them to grow, it helps them to learn, it shortens their learning curves, and it helps them to now add more value to their school environment.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to ask Dr. Motola this other question. When should immersion take place? Listening to what Ugochi said, and of course, what he also described, when should immersion take place?
I think it should be constant and it should, as soon as possible. I think right from when they begin their career path, they don't have to wait until they're like 5 years or 10 years or what do you call them? Like long, like 30 years into their career before they do it. I think it's critical from the beginning. So I'll give an example because I'm also like a teacher. I'm a professor at a university. And one of the things that I really appreciated was like right from the beginning, we have a professional development plan that we have to complete every single semester. So every semester, within the first 3 weeks of starting the semester or the term, they will ask us to submit our own personal professional development plan. And then at the end of the semester, we're now going to be judged by it. We have to now submit a reflection that, okay, you said you're going to do this, and this in these 5 areas. Which one did you do? How did it go? What went right? What did not go right? How did you apply it to the student you're teaching? How did it enhance your knowledge and all of those kind of things? And so for me, I think it should be an ongoing thing. It should not be something that, oh, okay, I did it this year, that's the end of it. It should be constant. It should be it should be ongoing and it should be regular and it should not just be a one-time thing.
Thank you so much. So we have another question, and that I think I'll direct to Finn. Talking about immersion, should it be from peer to peer, through professional consultants or professionals, or experienced colleagues?
Okay, so for new teachers or for new entrants into education, the immersion should come from experienced senior colleagues, should come from people who have walked the path they're about to walk and who can give them real life examples. I mean, there is something about, I also would say that professionals or consultants in the area of education can come in, but maybe I'm tended more towards experiencing your colleagues, because we could have professionals in the area of education. Sorry, we could have consultants in the area of education who really are not practitioners but have learned this is the way a team works. This is the way. For you to be productive at your place of work, this is what you need to do, this is what can help you, personal skills and all of that. It's still almost like textbook, because they really have not had the first-hand experience that senior colleagues have. So for me, the senior colleagues will come first, and then professionals or consultants in the area of development in the area of workplace development, workplace bonding, and all of that, yes, they would come next. But I think there's also a role for peer-to-peer immersion. So if somebody is coming in newly, I know that for instance, when I took up a job in a school whose curriculum is completely different. I had not heard about it till I got to that school. And as far as I know, it's not a very common curriculum in the Nigerian education system. I needed to have peer-to-peer mentors. I needed to have somebody who was not going to take you through like a structured kind of mentoring, but explaining stuff to me. Oh, this is how this works. This is how the system works. This is how we do this. And by the time I had that, I didn't really have so much of experience in your colleagues. I didn't really have professional consultants. I didn't until much later, until like maybe a year into that system was when there was a little bit of professional consultants coming in. But the peer-to-peer really, really works. But for better immersion experience, I would say experienced senior colleagues should go first. They can give you possible scenarios. Oh, this happened, and this was how I was able to handle it. In case you come face to face with this, and that helps the teacher. It boosts their self-esteem. It boosts their self-confidence. That, oh, I'm going into the class and I'm armed with, in case this happens, this is the tool I'm bringing out of my toolbox to help me in this situation in case that happens. And I can always fall back to my peers then and say, oh, this, I need a little help here, or I need some explanation there. So for me, it will range from experienced senior colleagues to consultants and then peer to peer.
Fantastic. Let me just add this to what Fia said. Very important that we have senior experienced colleagues, but we need to also understand that there are interventions and tools that cut across experience, exposure, first-hand interventions as well. Most of the time, we tend to misrepresent. So when it comes to, for example, like the question, we can have also professionals who are also people who've taken time to do research, who've been able to curate content to be able to show that this is the pattern of how things are done. You actually realize that even some of the platforms that we also use in today's learning experience, either as enhancement or whatever, most of the time has been done with outside of the colleagues, so to speak. And so most of the time, we must understand that there has to be a blend, more or less like a combination of both realities as the case is concerned, right? That's very important, and that we have that. Then, of course, I'd like to ask if Omotola wants to say an additional
Yes,
stuff
I would
to
like
that.
to add to it. So, like based on my experience also, and like what I've seen that has worked well, yeah, I agree with Finn that yes, we should have the senior colleague. But sometimes what happens is, especially from in our home part of the world, there might be this jealousy or this idea of like, well, what if they're trying to take my job? What if they're, and so sometimes there might be this issue like it's just about me alone. I don't want to, like they are not even paying me enough to even bother about myself for me to now say that I want to take somebody under my mentorship. So sometimes that can create an issue. But for me, in my own experience here, like across the world, like one of the things that I really appreciated, like after I got my appointment as a professor, was that I had a mentor from the department that already had over 20 years of experience. So we had a standing meeting every week, which either of us can cancel as we needed. And it's for as long as I needed it for like an hour to chat. I can ask her any questions. I can ask her for any insight because she has been doing this work for 20 years and I'm just starting in my career, and I was like 29 years old when I started. And then also they also did something that was also the outside beyond just the colleague within your area of specialty. You had somebody else from another department, somebody else, and then that is within your age group as well, that they also had, that they connected me with as well. And then we also had group mentoring that the university provided, that allowed us to like they had professionals and consultants that they hired, and we went to like 8 weeks. They had 12-week courses and things like that. And so I think it's critical to do both, because sometimes, because the colleagues are in the system, they might get too complacent, and because of that, they might not want to change things. They might want to stick to the status quo, when what they really need is somebody from the outside to shake things up. So having the perspective of both sides, of those that are on the internal and those that are on the external, is really critical, I think, in the in the overall development.
Fantastic. So quickly, let me ask Ugochi, who should initiate immersion? Who do you think should initiate immersion?
So I'll just say that in a proper system, it's great that it is built into the system already, right? But now, when you come into a system and then you see that something like that is not built in, then you must take personal responsibility for your own immersion. So, but just like Dr. Mata just gave us a perfect example. She got a new appointment, and they did not allow her to start finding the ropes by herself. There was a structure in place. So everybody that gets into certain position is going to get that help that they need. So I believe that it's the system, the school system should have it in place. It should be part of their structure. However, if you find yourself in a school, because again, maybe some schools are starting newly, they're still trying to find their balance and all that. If you find yourself in a situation where it is not built in already, then you've got to take personal responsibility, because at the end of the day, people are going to ask you, what did you do with your career? They won't ask you, what did the school do with your career? People would ask you, the individual. So the school should take responsibility, but if you are in a situation where there is no such plan, then you must take responsibility.
Thank you so much. I really love that fact that we need to realize that it has to be a systemic thing. And we need to speak out loud for the system to understand that, for sustainability, for growth and success. And we must kick this thing in. It shouldn't be a thing of a mood. I'm happy, I'm excited. Let's reward you with development or support or immersion. It should be systemic. It shouldn't be subject to mood. It should be almost plug and play, if possible, calendared, as it were. Thank you, Gucci, for that. And the question I'm going to ask you is that, what should a mentoring program for educators consist of?
For educators, the mentoring program, the immersion program should cover things like the curriculum, explain to them, because sometimes it's easier if the person is coming either from a faculty of education or from a college of education, or has had some training, some formal training in education. It's sometimes easier to just understand, oh, this is what I need to do, this is what is required of me. But in a case where the person did not have core education, maybe they studied a single subject like chemistry, or they studied physics, and then they're veering off into teaching, then there's a need to immerse them into the curriculum that the school is practicing. Not there was a time I went school hunting with my sister. We're trying to get a school for my niece, and getting to one of the schools, I asked the person that was attending to us, who was supposed to be their front desk officer, to know everything about the school. So I asked her, what's the curriculum of this school? And she said, she went on ranting and ranting and ranting, and then she said she was going to print it out. I was like, okay, that's new. And then she went on printing this rims and rims, and the printer kept wearing, and by the time she was done, and she gave us this bulky paper, bulky pieces of paper, I realized she had printed for us the entire scheme of work for the entire school. She didn't even know what their curriculum was. So it's essential to immerse them in curriculum, in letting them maybe even have practice run, in for maybe new teachers or with already existing hands. Have a practice run. This is what our curriculum is. This is how it runs. Help them understand classroom management. That's a major one for teachers. How do I manage these children? How do I manage these preteens or teenagers, as the case may be, depending on what level of education they are in? How do I handle communication? How do I effectively communicate with my students? The immersion should cover these areas. The immersion should cover how do I discipline, it's not just about, we don't beat. Yes, by all means, no canes in the classroom, but there are ways that if something happens on the spot, you can correct it, you can handle it immediately, so you don't lose a hold of the class. Because once the student does something and the teacher loses control, that's it. Others just follow suit and ensure that they make the classroom uh, they make it a living hell for the teacher. So their immersion should cover all of that. And in some cases, it should also cover overcoming personal inhibitions. So for somebody who is not exactly very patient, who feels like, oh, once I teach it once, they should get it, and gets easily frustrated when things are not going their way, they would need somebody who has walked that path to teach them how to put their emotions in check, how to make sure that their personal inhibitions are not coming in and are not showing up in their practice as teachers in the classroom. So yes, let's cover curriculum, let's cover communication, classroom management, personal inhibitions, and skills. And for now, those are the things I can think of off the top of my head that the immersion should cover.
Thank you very much. And then I'd like to ask Dr. Motola, who really needs a mentor? New teachers only?
I believe that it's not just new teachers, Ellen. Yes, especially new teachers, they need it since they're just learning the rope and they're just coming into the system and the culture and the environment of the particular institution they are working for. And so they need it. But more importantly, even the older ones, the veteran teachers also need it as well. So it's not just for new teachers. I think because like you said, like things are changing really fast in the world and things are really upgrading at a fast level. So what you think you knew last year might be old news, might be outdated, and with the way he broke it down in terms of the answering question 5, in terms of the skills, the curriculum management, the classroom, things are changing. So there should be room for experimentation, of testing things, of trying things and applying things, and really, really be that willingness to grow, that willingness to be open to new ideas and not just be stated because it has been done this way for 15 years that I've been teaching, then that must be the way it should go. So it should not be just new teachers, but even the veteran teachers as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to take this question to Ugochi. I'm going to ask Ugochi this question. Ugochi, how is the success of an immersion program evaluated?
I think it can be evaluated in two ways, in theory and in practice. In theory, well, maybe evaluations can happen. Yeah, it's true. Yes, evaluations can happen where you run this test to just check their knowledge levels to see how far they've grown. Knowledge levels at the beginning of the program, maybe when they step in, and the knowledge levels at the end. And also in practice, in the sense that there's something we used to do in my when I worked in the airline, where one day a manager would fly with you all through your day and just watch and see how you execute your job with your passengers, with your procedures, with your emergency equipment and all that. They're not really, well, some might ask you questions, but basically they're just watching to see how you are responding by yourself. So that's what I mean by in practice. So bearing in mind that there will be some things that these teachers are learning which is the reason why they're even in an immersion program, right? So there should be opportunities for you to observe, to see that what they are learning, they are also doing it in practice. And these things can be done in a structured way, such that maybe everybody knows that, oh, every quarter or every month you're going to have spot checks. Or you could have the random ones when nobody's expecting, and you just bump into, really see, catch them in the doing, right? Yes. So that's how it can be evaluated. And then, of course, as you evaluate and you see that they do up to standard, because there's also going to be ratings. Did the person act up to standard, below standard, or above standard? And then that also helps you know how to plan for subsequent sessions in the immersion program. And it also becomes, should I say, learning material for new intakes, because all this is also in order to provide feedback. So it's really important that from the very beginning, you should have set your metrics so that you are not confused when you are now seeing some actions. You're not sure, you are not sure, is this standard, is this below, is this above standard? So at the beginning, you should have your metrics down so that it gets easier as you execute.
Thank you so much for that, Ugochi. Thank you so much. And that's really what it is about. People must realize that the fabric of the performance and the quality of the profession and the industry at large will be actually based on the level and the degree of immersion. It's almost like saying that how baked and how cooked are professionals out there. School leaders, school owners, school administrators, regulators, heads of departments, people in charge of processes in the organization of the learning space must be able to factor some of these things together to ensure that the totality of what we're looking for is based on the promise we've made to our clients out there. The learning outcomes of the students will really improve based on the quality of immersion. And so we're going to end today on that note. And I probably want to hear every one of us say, immerse me, and making it like an open request and also more or less like an open demand. So I want to hear Dr. Motala say, immerse me. I want to hear Finn say, immerse me. I want to hear Ugochi say, immerse me.
Immerse me.
Immerse me.
Yeah, it sounds like you're asking. So I'll send you my account number, and then you fill the form when necessary.
Let's do it.
Anyway, on that lighter note, I just want to announce that Dr. Motola and I were going to be putting together a grant webinar that will be taking place, I think, on the 28th of June, 2021. Just in some few days' time.
Immerse me in dollars.
Ugochi, you are really dollar-centric nowadays, eh?
I'm hailing you now.
All right, so we'll be putting together a grant webinar. It's called the Grant Development Webinar, and most of the grants that she's been sharing with us, we're going to look at how we can position individuals on how to apply and the opportunities and what they're looking for. And there's some other information that you get. Most of the things that I'm talking about will start coming out from today into the week. So if you're there and you're hearing us, please ensure you're watching this after, as in watching the replay. Please ensure that you're a part of the grant development webinar. And it's going to be monthly, by the way. And we're going to be having great value, immense value based on the projections and the preparations as well. So on that note, we'll be calling it a day. We've had a great time. Thank you, Gochi. Fantastic answers, fantastic conversation. Thank you, Finn. Wonderful examples and illustrations. Thank you, Dr. Motola. Thank you for your comments, your views, your analysis, and your thoughts. And on that note, we're going to say our final payoff line. I'm sure most of you have to unmute your mic to get ready. Clear your voice. Let's give, clear. So, ladies, over to you. I'm basking in the fury of Father's Day, so I'll allow you to say what you need to say while I watch on behalf of the fathers out there. One, two, go.
It's always
a great morning.
on the Good Morning
Education
Education
Show.
Show.
It's always a great morning for fathers as well. It will always be a great morning for all of us. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.